morning and good morning and good morning. Habari Ganai, everyone. This is an exclusive holiday of Kwanzaa-Style Tea. We're going to come to you today with different principles. And today I have my sisters here who are going to help us know and learn these principles. So I want to say welcome. If you don't know anything about Kwanzaa, you will definitely learn today. So the first person that I will have come up is Miss Missy Johnson. And she is going to be sharing with us the day one, which was yesterday, principle, talking about unity, emotion. And after that, each one of the speakers, there will be an affirmation because it's all about affirmation on how we set things. So welcome, Missy. Thank you for your emotion and your unity to help us today. So can you share with us your principle, which was day one of emotion of unity?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's very unique that I had the first principle, Umoja, and it means unity. And it started yesterday, and yesterday was my birthday. So it was very interesting to have that. I've heard about Kwanzaa all my life, but never tapped into it. So I'm not going to be on here very long before you, but it speaks for itself. And it's a very good thing to learn in your life. So the one that I have is Umoja, and it means unity. Um, Kwanzaa was established during a time of social, like, behavioral upheaval in the U.S. And there was a gentleman by the
Hey,
name of
still trying to reach
Lana Corenza, who sought to create something to bring all of African Americans
you
together.
because we
And
can
so originally it was Kwanzaa was spelt with just one A, and he added on another A to make it 7 letters. So it would represent the 7 principles. So in the midst of that, the Umoja, which is unity, it means unity at which unity was meant to bring forth families, communities, and everyone, organizations, just to bring everyone in alignment and bring them all on one accord. It does mean first in Swahili. That's an interesting thing too, because all of my children have Swahili names. So this is like me learning the back part of what I was already kind of operating in. A lot of people, when I told them, I said, I'm speaking on Kwanzaa. They were like, Kwanzaa, why are you doing that? Well, my thing is I want to learn everything of all facets of life. And it's just very good. It just means unity. It's just like me and you coming together, me and whoever coming together. Like I said, predominantly it was for the African American race. Unity does a lot of things for us. It opens up new doors. When we become unified, it opens up new doors and pathways to different things. It lifts you into new divine opportunities. Just as me today, like an opportunity to be here to share with you from my perspective of what Umoja, which is unity, means. Unity brings glory to God. So in all of this, we definitely want to give God his just due and give him the honor and the praise because he birthed us with unity on the inside of us. And so we were already fashioned and made to unify with each other. We just have some things that come along the way and try to break it up. But we have trendsetters and we have pioneers such as Michelle that will bring this back in. May can't reach everyone, but it will reach some people and allow them to understand what it really means. We hear the word unity all the time, but we fail to do it a lot, right? I'm not trying to speak against us or anything, but we have a lot of nationalities and a lot of cultures out there. They are unified, very well unified. And so this was really good for me to bring us together so that we can remain more unified. Umoja. Sometimes I might pronounce it wrong. I don't know, y'all, but I don't know. I just feel very excited about it. It gives us a sense of direction in life. And so I'm going to kind of like end here, because in the book of Psalms 133, 1 through 3, it says, how good and pleasant is it for brethren to dwell together in unity. And so it says brethren, but that doesn't have a gender to it, right? Or a sex to it. It's all of us. How good and pleasant is it when we can come together and just unify ourselves? And I learn from you, and you learn from me, and we all learn from each other. I pray for you, you pray for me. There was a rap song out by Queen Latifah back in the day. She said, UNITY, spelling the word unity, right? And she had everyone in this video coming together, and she was just on it. So it was just like, let's just unify ourselves. In the midst of me learning this, I have become to be accustomed with a lot of other people in the African American race, just trying to learn a little more. And I'm just grateful um, that all of us are even here on this morning, speaking and talking. I have been involved with some of you, Miss Sharon and Sharon, and we have unified ourselves. May not see each other all the time, but we operate in a sense of unity as well. Even in the midst of that, God has allowed me to launch forth a ministry, and it's elevating women. So you being unified. So this is just, it's a big, 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 broad topic, but I'm trying to like simplify it to say that we must stay and remain unified in order for us to be healthy. It kind of digs into our heart and our internal organs. When we're not unified, everything messes up. Everything. Your health doesn't act right. You might get a toothache. You might get some of this. So we just have to make sure that we stay unified with each other, as well as being unified with our senses on earth. It's here for us to stay unified with that. So I'll leave you all with that. I do have more, but I'm not going to go over my time. But yeah, I will stay unified with you as we stay unified with Mother Earth. God bless you.
We thank you, Missy. That is powerful. That was powerful because, we talk about the different teas. And also, we know that in our African culture, there's a lot of herbal stuff that was done. So, I'm also giving out the recipes for emoja and unity. So, what it is hibiscus and rose, which is bringing harmony for unity. And the symbolism is the hibiscus is for the heart and the love and for your health. The rose is for compassion. And the orange peel is optimism and vitality to give you life. So, in the affirmation for this, and if you were to have this tea, it would be I am one with my community. My heart beats in harmony with others. Again, Missy, thank you so much for sharing on the first principle. And to next, we're going to move to our day 2 with self-determination. And we now will be present with our presence of evangelist, elder Sharon Lewis.
Funny.
Before you
That's
go on,
hilarious. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me
Michelle,
clearly? Give me a thumbs up.
Oh, Senator.
excuse me, Sharon. Michelle, could you, before you go on, I'm sorry, Sharon, could you repeat the appeal again, Michelle?
Repeat the recipe you said.
I'm getting bits and pieces of it.
Okay, so for the symbolism for it is hibiscus and rose. The hibiscus is for the heart and love. The rose is for compassion. The orange peel is for the optimism and vitality. And the affirmation is I am one with my community. My heart beats in harmony with others. Gotcha. All right. Senator Lewis.
Funny. So many titles you're giving me. Good morning, everyone. I just want to say thank you to Dr. Michelle. Thank you to this panel of women who I admire, who I honor. So I want to give you your flowers. And just thank you for allowing me to be a part of this conversation, presentation, whatever we're going to call it. Michelle, if you can go ahead, you can start sharing those slides just so you don't have to look at my lovely face. But I hope everyone can see them. I can see them on my end. So I'm just going to get started. Habari Gani. So today's news is on this official second day of Kwanzaa is the principle Kujichagulia. And so when Dr. Michelle told me that she was going to do this presentation, have this event, I chose that because I've always, ever since I've known about Kwanzaa, I've always liked saying that particular principle, just how it rolls off the tongue. And I didn't even realize, even like Missy was saying, that we were actually going to be hosting this on the second day of Kwanzaa and that I was choosing the second principle of Kwanzaa. So Missy already gave you all the background. We can go to the second slide. So Kujichagulia is from the Swahili, which has already been said, and it means self-determination. So this requires that we, people of African descent, define our common interests and make decisions for the best interests of our family and community. And you can see the table up there, some of the symbols that are used. And so as we continue, I want you to keep those in mind. I want you to keep this pronunciation in mind, and just keep in mind day 2 of Kwanzaa and this principle of self-determination. You can go to the next slide. So one of the principles is this, for the second day of Kwanzaa, is the Ahenwa, the Akan throne that symbolizes national identity, cultural groundedness, and rightful governance. So I'm just going to pause there for a second to allow us to think about that for a minute. We have 3 items that we're talking about here. We're talking about a symbol that represents national identity, cultural groundedness, and rightful governance. You can go to the next slide. So within this second day of Kwanzaa, this principle, we're going to define ourselves, we're going to name ourselves, we're going to create for ourselves, and we're going to speak for ourselves. So in the next few slides, we're going to talk about these 4 aspects of Kujichagulia. Next slide. 2 questions that I want you to consider when we're talking about defining ourselves. How have we, as people of African descent, been defined? And then how do we define ourselves and others? So how have we, as people of African descent, been defined historically? And how do we define ourselves? How do we define our children and others within our communities? When someone asks, who are you? Do you share your occupation? Do you list your degrees or run down your resume? Do you define yourself in relation to someone else? For example, I am the granddaughter of Robert and Virgie Tillman, and also Edward and Anita Weeks. I am Sharon's oldest daughter, no matter what my sister says. I'm Richard's wife. I'm Benita, Rosalind, and Sharea's sister. I'm Olivia's mother. How about your strengths or your feelings at the time? Oh, I'm good at this. I have a nice personality. I'm not feeling too well. I'm a little under the weather. Or whatever health condition. Got a little pain in my side. Sciatica's acted up. Where we live or where we come from. Oh, I'm from New York. I'm from the DMV. I'm from DC. Or where we come from. My family's from North Carolina. My family's from Cape Charles, Virginia. We define ourselves by who or what is most important to us and our identity. So keep that in mind. The next time you introduce yourself, the next time you hear others introduce themselves to you, what is it that they name first? How are they defining themselves? Next slide. Naming ourselves. In ancient times, the continent of Africa was called Alkebulan, which means mother of mankind or Garden of Eden. Let that sit with you for a little bit. When we inhabited, cultivated, and lived on the continent currently known as Africa, we were called queens and kings of the Ashanti and the Zulu. We were emperors of the Mali Empire, which indicated supreme authority over multiple territories. We were chiefs, or local leaders of tribes who were responsible for community governance and decision making. Keep keep in mind the themes that are going on here. We're talking about decision making, we're talking about governance, which goes back to the first symbol. So a lot of nuances here that are the same that come together with this self-determination. Not having an official title, even though I was given a lot of titles by Dr. Michelle, not having an official title of king, queen, or chief does not negate our lineage or that internal visceral feeling of what our ancestors were named. Most importantly, we are named creators, made by the creator of the universe, who is named Elohim. As people of African descent, we have been named colored, Negro, Black, African American, and unfortunately some derogatory names that I will not say, because that is not our name. We name ourselves. What is your name? My mother used to say, it's not what they call you, it's what you respond to. So what is your name? What have you named yourself? What have you named your community and your future? Next slide. Creating for ourselves. Create means to bring something into existence. When I think about creating or innovation and problem solving, I think about my grandparents, who I just named previously. They were born during the time of the Great Depression, endured the Jim Crow South, segregation, blatant racism, and immense discrimination. Yet, they became homeowners and raised successful families. They were innovators and problem solvers and creators. They created for themselves and their communities. They sustained community relationships under immense pressure from political and social discrimination. They became foster parents for others who weren't able to care for their children. They made their own clothes, grew expansive gardens, and preserved food for year-round consumption in order to sustain their families and their communities. How are you using your innate creativity to bring something into existence that will benefit our communities? I'm going to repeat that again. I'm leaving us with a few questions to think about, to ponder. How are you using your innate creativity, because it's in there, to bring something into existence that will benefit our communities? Next slide. The Old Testament text, Proverbs 18:21, tells us that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. I think there's one slide before that, Dr. Michelle. I apologize. Maybe it got cut out. It's okay. You can go to the next one. It's fine. What is it that we speak about ourselves and about others? How do we plan, strategize, and write the vision so that we and those in our sphere of influence are empowered? We must speak up and speak out so that those in our sphere of influence can be empowered. We must speak out for ourselves and others who may not have a voice yet, or who may not have found their voice, because we all do have a voice. For those whose voices have been taken, we must speak out for them and allow them to speak out for themselves. Encourage everyone to work in some form of advocacy. I always do that, whether it be volunteering or community service. We all have a sphere of influence that we can impact and help others show their self-determination. Surround yourself with people who speak the truth, not just their truth, but the truth that's needed for the present time. In conclusion, how are we self-determined in everyday life? According to the International African American Museum, Kujichagulia includes social activism and can be seen as a call to action for social and political engagement, advocating for the rights and interests of the African American community. And I'm going to read this verbatim because I thought this was so good from their website. Beyond Kwanzaa, This principle inspires people to make decisions that align with their personal values and aspirations, to be proactive in sharing their life course. Kujichagulia provides a framework for educating young people about the importance of self-resilience, personal responsibility, and the development of a strong personal and cultural identity. It is a powerful affirmation of the right to self-definition and autonomy. It encourages a proactive stance in life, inspiring people and communities to take charge of their narrative and destiny, fostering a sense of empowerment and agency. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for the Kuja Chakalia self-determination. That was, you put it, I loved it when you talked about define yourself. That is something that we take for granted when we do introduce ourselves in different communities. Who are you? Because people want to know who you are, and taking a stance on that. And again, as you said, you got to speak it. You got to speak it into who you are, and you got to create it. If you can't think you can do it, create it. You know what I mean? Just create it. Just act on it. So there is an affirmation for, before I give the affirmation, I want to give you a tea recipe. So if you feel you need a little bit more of self-determination, ginger and lemongrass is an empowerment tea. So here are the ingredients: ginger, lemongrass, and peppermint. Affirmation: I speak my truth and embrace my authentic power. Let's say that one again. I speak my truth and embrace my authentic power. So that is self-determination, day 2. And now we're moving to day 3, which is a collective work and a responsibility. And it is Ujima. Collective work and responsibility. What is the meaning behind this principle? This is day 3. This is what we should be doing tomorrow. To build and maintain our community together. This is why we brought it together today. To make our brothers and our sisters upkeep with problems and just help solve the problems. To help plant and help with the problems, but also come up with solutions to the problems. It's a collective work here. It's our responsibility. So the herb focus is rose, cinnamon, and clove. What is that? Warming. Those are warming herbs. It's grounded for warmth. We come for sit together with cinnamon as a shared strength and abundance, and the clove they use as protection. So for that affirmation, we rise together through care and compassion. Again,
What was the
we
cinnamon?
rise
What did you say? The cinnamon?
together through care and compassion. And it is rose, cinnamon, and clove. All right. So our next we have, I'm going to say it, Dr. Jackson. I'm going to have her. I'm naming. Look, Sharon already told us, give you your names. Give you your names. Speak who you are. It's my responsibility to help you to know who you are. So you're coming with the cooperative economics.
Yes, Dr. Jackson is loading, honey. She's so close. She's so close. Thank you, Dr. Michelle, for putting this together. I am one who lives by these principles. I've been very intentional. I don't necessarily do it daily, but it is 100% a part of my lifestyle. I just think that the principles are important for how we show up for each other and then what we require of other people. Because while it's important for us to note that this is, how we operate and things like this, I also think it's important that we require other people that we interact with to interact with us with the same type of energy, because otherwise we're selling ourselves short and we're not requiring them to show up for us the way that we show up for them. And so Ujamaa, cooperative economics. So I'm going to try to stay on point because I can take this and go every which way but loose and be on here longer than my time. And so I'm going to try to be as concise as I can, but impactful and powerful at the same time. So Ujamaa. So it's building and maintaining our own businesses and the importance of legitimizing our businesses and learning how to manage and grow a business is important if you want it to be able to have a lasting business structure. So when we look at people who own businesses, especially in communities of color, Black folks, more importantly, we have a lot of people that we can call to come and do some stuff for us, right? We know who to go get our car fixed. We know who to go to get some things taken care of in our household, right? Mm-hmm. These people are not real business owners, right? They are people who have side hustles. And I think it's important for us to talk about taking a side hustle and legitimizing it, not just for our own good, but for theirs as well, right? They're not building any future with the side hustles 9 times out of 10, right? You're not getting Social Security taken out as much as people could, don't want to pay into it. There is an importance of having Social Security. You're not taking that money and putting it aside for your health insurance, your life insurance, or your retirement. When you legitimize your business in yourself, right? Because you're shortchanging yourself. When you don't legitimize your business, you're not legitimizing who you are as a person, right? And so we go back to Kujichagulia, we're naming, right? So now you're an illegitimate business, right? And we do business with illegitimate people that if they mess up something that, if I have somebody come work on my car and they mess up my engine, I can't sue them because they're not a licensed business. They're not insured. They're not bonded. I am now stuck with covering that cost, right? And so it forces us to then take money outside of our community and give it to other people who that if God forbid they mess up something, there's a legal ramification for that. As opposed to keeping the money in our community, it doesn't take much to have a business license. It doesn't take much to also have liability insurance for your business, right? It's a couple $100 a year, right? And so we're looking at how to navigate a system that we think is not set up for us to win, but we can maximize the benefits if we set up ourselves as a legitimate business, because there are so many other benefits that comes along with having a legitimate business. There are small business loans, there are tax breaks, there are so many other things that we can utilize as a business owner that we don't take into consideration. And most of it is because we don't know any better. And when people are trying to educate us, we're listening to the wrong people. I've watched shows where people have cooked inside of their homes and then turned it into a food truck, into then a brick and mortar business to sustain themselves. But how many people in our community refuse to take it that far? They're more comfortable with just cooking from their home because they don't want anybody telling them what to do. But then are they living up to their full potential? Or are they living the way people claim, how people label us, right? How people look down on us. And then we expect and require people to show up for us when we're not even showing up for ourselves appropriately. So that's one thing to consider and to think about. If we're going to have a business, you have to remember that you're in a relationship with it, right? This business is your baby, whether it's a baby that you purchased because you bought into a franchise or it's something that you developed on your own. But it is a relationship because it is going to financially take care of you, it is going to clothe you, it is going to feed you, it should bring you joy. Many people go into businesses not understanding the amount of work that it takes to actually run and maintain a business. We're looking for these quick turnovers, these quick turnarounds. As soon as a dollar comes in, we want to spend that dollar, not understanding that you need to put that money back into the business to keep it going before you start getting paid from that. So it's this immediate gratification as opposed to financially sustaining the business. The other part of that is, who do we have at the table with us maintaining that business, right? So the same way we go to the doctor to get our checkups, we go to our primary care, we might go to a podiatrist, we're going to go to the eye doctor, we're going to go to the dentist, because each part of our bodies have doctors that specializes in those body parts. How many of us who own businesses have the right people helping us maintain our businesses? Do we have lawyers? Do we have the accountants? Do we have the coaches? Do we have supervisors, right? Do we have in-office audits? Like who's coming to the table to help us maintain our business? Do we have the proper insurance? And so if we're looking at growing in abundance, we have to set the skeleton up to be able to withstand whatever abundance that we're expecting. Because if I'm fragile, if my business is fragile and I start getting a whole bunch of people trying to do business with me, I'm not set up to sustain that. I can't get the products out. I don't have the staff in place to maintain inventory, to maintain schedules, to make sure payroll is in place, right? To make sure that if I'm out, that there's somebody in my place to run the business because I'm on vacation or I'm at a conference or something like that, or I'm taking classes to better develop my business, right? And so if we're looking at maintaining our business, these are the things that we have to consider. We love the idea of starting and owning it, but what next? Are we being neglectful? Are we listening to the wrong people who tell us you don't need those things and this is how you do it? But they don't have anything in place. They haven't ran their own business. They haven't started anything, or they have a lot of ideas, but they've just never done anything with the ideas. But then they have a lot of advice for you that's not necessarily in your best interest, right? So that's something to consider. Then when we're looking at our target market, it can't be your family and friends. Your family and friends cannot sustain your business because you don't have everything that they need, and they don't always like what you got going on. They might support you, but they ain't got nothing to do with them, right? What you talking about is not something they're interested in. What you selling is not something that interests them. They might like and they might share it. They might tell people about it. They're not going to buy anything from you. And why should they if it's not something that they like? That's like me going to buy a car from somebody knowing that, one, I don't need the car. I don't like the car, but because it's my friend, I'm going to go ahead and go get this $40,000 loan and put myself in debt to support them, right? We have to look at who are the people outside of that market, right? If you're really a business owner, you're not looking for your family and friends, and most of the time, the people in your community to sustain you. that sustainability comes from people outside of your circle of influence. Because without that circle of influence has a limited amount of capital that they can play around with. And your needs are greater than what they can offer you. And so what is your marketing plan? Who have you sat down with to help you market your business? And is it somebody who's, a legitimate person who knows what they're doing when it comes to marketing? Or is it somebody knows that we're going to go give them money that there's no return on our investment, right? And so you're looking at what is the return on your investment in your business every time that you're interacting with an individual when it's business based. But even when it's not, you are your business. As a business owner, you're legitimately your business, and how you show up out in the community is how people are going to perceive your business, right? And so how are you showing up? Are you wearing your merch, right? Do people know when you're out and about, you got everybody else's name on you? Do you have your name on you? Run DMC said that. They had to pay them to keep that Adidas stuff on them, right? When Russell Simmons' wife had all this Louis Vuitton stuff, he was like, "What you doing? You got all this baby fat stuff. Why are you steady purchasing stuff from them when you have your own luggage brand? Why aren't you reinvesting in yourself? If they want you to, and she had her TV show. This was on her TV show. How much money did you get to promote them on your TV show? Right? You out here promoting somebody else's stuff. You're not promoting yours. You should be your biggest brand ambassador. We out here trying to get other people to be our brand ambassadors, but are we our own brand ambassadors? When we show up, do people know who we are and what we do? Do we have our elevator speech? Right? Does our circle of influence know what we do? Do our staff members know what we do? And when somebody asks them about us, can they talk about what your business does? Right? No matter how big or how small your business is. Do the people that you spend time with, do they know the accurate name of your business? Because I've had people on my board that couldn't even say Harvesting Hope Youth and Family Wellness. Right? So how are you on my board and you don't even know the full name of the business? Right? Do you know my mission? Do you know my mission? Do you know my core values? Right? And so when we're looking at this, it's who we are, but separate from who we are. Right? We should know our business inside and out, and we should have people that know our business inside and out. How can we keep the Black dollar circulating in our community? The Black dollar is the most valuable currency in the world, not just in the United States, in the world. It is a multi-billion-dollar profit for everybody but us, right? We take our money and we give it to other people. Our dollar circulates in our community like 2 or 3 times. In the white community, it's about 50. In the Asian community, it's about 60. In the Jewish community, it's in the 70s. We spend money outside of our community. And this is why our community cannot thrive, because we don't have the infrastructure for it to be successful. This is why our neighborhoods be dilapidated. This is why our schools can't perform the way that they need to perform, because we don't have the business infrastructure to allow for things to change, to keep the dollars in the community, to strengthen the community. We have to be intentional that when we're shopping, we're buying products from people that look like us. It is not by chance that all the grocery stores are owned by other people. All the corner stores are owned by other people. the same people who do not reinvest in the community that they serve. Those funds go somewhere else. We have plenty of events in our community, and there are some good business around here that really support. But there are a couple that I know for sure that do not engage in anything that the Black community does, but they stay in their stores. They stay buying hair. They stay buying hair. But when there's something going on, you don't see them as a sponsor on anything, right? Why do we keep investing in people that don't see the value in our money outside of paying their bills and allowing for them to go on vacations and things like that? Why, when we shop with African Americans, we expect more from them and are harder on them than we are on other people? I've seen plenty of times on social media, businesses who have a history of just not being kind to Black folks, but Black folks continue to go there, continue to give them their money, continue to show up, and then complain about it, but go back. But if an African American restaurant owner was short staffed or ran out of something, people can't wait to tear them down and talk about how unprofessional they are and how I will never support them again. We don't even give them a chance, as opposed to saying, wow, they ran out. What's happening, right? Did they have that many customers that they ran out, or are they not doing well and they weren't even able to purchase the amount that they needed? Because those are totally two different conversations. If business is doing well, we commend them for that, and then let me know when you get it again, because I'll be back, right? If they're not doing well, how can we support them? What do you need from us, right? Who are you connected to, or how can I get you in front of X, Y, and Z so they can help you kind of restructure things and look at things from a different perspective to get you back on track? Are we looking for discounts when we go to our people? Right? Because we love to buy high-end products. And I'm like, I'm not paying no $40,000 for a $10 bag. It's not going to happen, right? And we see it all the time. But if a Black designer had a bag that cost that much, we would ream them out. Who do they think they are? Why would I waste that kind of money on their product, right? So we tend to devalue ourselves. And so when we devalue that Black business, we're valuing ourselves as well, right? We're saying that we are not good enough. We should not expect that, right? We see it all the time when there's a successful Black person, they had to sell their soul. They got to be a part of the Illuminati. They can't have work ethic, right? They can't have good work ethic. They can't be creative, right? They can't be spiritual, right? They can't be a believer. The first thing we want to do is tear them down, because we bought into we are not good enough. And if we do make it, we had to sell a part of our soul to get there. And so then that puts people in fear of wanting to be better, because then it's, well, do I got to sell my soul? Oh, I don't want to do that. So then they don't even take their business to the next level, because they unconsciously believe that the only way that they can make it is if they give up something, or the fear that they're going to be turned on by their own, because there's no way you was able to do that without giving something up. One of my hopes is that we understand that we have created so many products in this country, in the world, that our ancestors were not allowed to benefit from financially, right? And so when we look at the lights, when we look at the refrigerator, when we look at the street lights, when we look at toilet paper holders, right? When we look at automatic flushing systems, when we look at the cell phones, the Wi-Fi that we're on, all of this stuff was developed by Black people. Computers, this is us. This is what we do, right? But we have been taught that we have nothing to bring to the table. We couldn't get the proper documentation to make sure that we had ownership over these items, right? So that still puts us behind. That puts us behind a curveball, because if I can't properly document my items, right? If I can't get government clearance, that, and I can't, the word is not coming to me of what it is. I know what it is, but it's just skipping my head right now. That's what happens when you get brain fog. But you can't, right? So all those millions of dollars that other people have made off of them, they didn't make money. The Black guy who developed the super soaker literally just won his lawsuit. That was developed by a Black man, right? Half of the Barbie clothes from Mattel, a Black man made those clothes, right? These are things that we don't know. These are businesses, right? And business ideas and things like that, that we are not educated on how to navigate the business world. And so in order for us to work together as a collective whole, we first have to understand, what does it mean to have a business? What is the proper structure, right? How do I get a US patent on any of my ideas? How do I copyright my stuff, right? How do I get trademarks on my stuff? Because if you don't get it trademarked and copywritten, anybody can come behind you and take your stuff and act like it's theirs. And so we have to first be educated and informed about the structure of any business that we want to do. Who do we need to have at the table with us to make sure that our businesses thrive and are successful? And then how do we work together and support each other's businesses locally and globally in order for us to thrive as a whole? And so my request is that during the rest of Kwanzaa, that if you're going to shop, shop Black. Shop Black. There's Black folks that own toilet paper companies, bread and cleaning supplies and anything, everything else that you can think of. So if you're going to shop and we're going to be responsible economically, shop Black for the next 6 days. Shop Black. And let's see how we can change the tide for some of our local and global Black businesses. Thank you, Dr. Michelle.
Thank you there, Dr. Amika. Thank you so much for that. That's some true powerful stuff, because as a business owner, I'm thinking about that myself. That's one of my strategics, that I'm going to start valuing myself with prices. If you can't buy it, you just can't buy it. So into that, there is a principle of a tea and herbs that we use. We use a green tea, we use a spearmint, and we use lemon balm. And why? The green tea is for growth. The spearmint is for making clear decisions. And the lemon balm, because we know that lemon balm is a balancer. So it also can bring you success and balance. And the affirmation for this principle is: abundance flows through our shared work and wisdom. Abundance flows through our shared work and wisdom. All right. So our next principle, it will be, we are now on day 5, which is Nia. Purpose. What is that? To make our collective vocation the building and development of our communities in order, this is a mandate, to restore our people to their traditional greatness. And before I came on, I was saying that we have to get back to the basics. It is, you know, if you need that cup of sugar, maybe because, hey, economics, that's what's happening. Things we have to come together. I am a firm believer that things are happening because it's going back to the old time way, for villages, for people to come back together. So, what is the focus of the herbs? Is chamomile, holy basil, which is tulsi, and lavender. Why? The chamomile is for peace. Holy basil is for the focus and the spirit, and the lavender is for the inner calm. What is the affirmation for this, Nia, which is purpose? What is the affirmation? My purpose blooms from ancestral wisdom. I'm going to say that one more time. I think, Sharon, you were talking about how your ancestrals, how it went from there. It's very important. And I know a lot of people don't want to say the ancestors. It's in the Bible. I'm just being real. It's in the Bible. Ancestral wisdom. Think about it. I can think about some of the things that I've done as a child that now as I'm an adult, when learning about the herbs, I remember my aunt used to have us outside picking them. So again, my purpose blooms from ancestral wisdom. And that is Nia, which is the day 5. Our next is Kumba, creativity. I know I have a lot of women that's on here that are very creative. And what is it about your creativity? To do always as much as we can. Now, not throw yourself out of whack, but do as much as you can in the way that you can and leave your community more beautiful than what we inherited. So what we were given, we should now grow on it, plan it. We should also be beautifying what is here to be even more beautiful than what the past. So what is your herbal focus for this? It is hibiscus, blueberry, leaf, and rose hip. What is the symbolism? Again, hibiscus is for creativity. The blueberry leaf is for intuition, and your rose hip is for joy. The affirmation is, I create beauty and joy that uplifts generations. So this is something you can pass down traditionally. You know, like this year, I started a new tradition, not the old thing that you do for the holiday. I actually did brunch instead. I create beauty and joy that uplifts generation. Pass down things to your kids, your nieces, your nephews. Again, because each time they innovate it, it should get beautifuler and beautiful and beautiful. And that goes back to always doing as much as you can in the way that you can and what you have inherited. All right. So now that was day 6, and now we are leaving to the last principle, which we have known from generations to generation, that this principle of faith has carried our generation through. And now we are going to have that story told by the Honorable Savannah Winston.
Good afternoon. Great afternoon. Certainly excited to speak about the final principle called Imani, which means faith. And I am absolutely a woman of faith. So I'm happy to be here on this afternoon to speak about it. Hebrews 11:1 says that now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So faith is not imaginary. Faith has substance. Faith has weight. Faith has power. Imani calls us to believe. Let me say that again. Faith, Imani, calls us to believe not only in God, but in ourselves, our people, our ancestors, and the righteousness of our struggle. Imani means faith. Imani reminds us that faith also lives in our daily decisions. I heard Dr. Jackson say we don't practice the principles daily, but we should. Again, Imani reminds us that faith also lives in our daily decisions, our resilience, and our refusal to give up. But 2 Corinthians 5:7 reminds us that for we walk by faith, not by sight. This is one of my favorites. For we walk by faith, not by sight. Sisters, we have to remember that as we walk by faith, because what we do does not reflect what we know God has promised us. We have to believe. God has given us promises, so we have to have faith. We have to walk in that faith. Faith is believing when we have the evidence, but it's not incomplete. Faith is trusting when the road is unclear. Faith is standing when we're sitting down because sitting down is easier. But faith, we have to stand. Throughout history, women or sisters, we have been known to be the keepers of faith. Proverbs 31:25 says, she is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. Faith over fear. We think about women in the Bible, such as Hannah, who prayed through her pain, such as Esther, who stood in faith at the risk of her own life. We have to trust in God. Trust God before circumstances are changed. That's faith. That's Imani. One of the most radical things that we can do is commit, ladies, is to believe in ourselves, especially when we're in this world where we are always doubting ourselves. We have to believe in ourselves. Mark 9:23 says, all things are possible to the one who believes. Faith teaches us that we are capable before validation. We are worthy before approval. We are called even when we feel unqualified. And my other favorite, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's Philippians 4:13. Again, Imani as self-belief, faith. Not some things, not all things, not easy things, but all things. That is faith. All things are possible to the one who believes. Kwanzaa reminds us in regards to the community that faith is not just personal, but it is collective. And now I am absolutely a woman of faith. 2025 has been a walk of faith, but as I move into 2026 and some of the endeavors that I am walking into in the community, my faith is becoming stronger than ever. Hebrews 10:23-24, let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, and let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds. So as I take this walk of faith, moving into 2026, moving into potentially being elected as an official in our community, I try to be a woman to model faith by action. But we have to believe. I continue to be a believer. And I ask that you continue to believe in yourselves and that we'll believe collectively in our community. But faith does not deny struggle. It endures through it. Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, for I am with you, but not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, and I will help you, and I will uphold you. Being a believer, being a woman of faith, I absolutely struggle with fear, but I know that my strength comes from our God. And the word says that through faith, I am not alone. You are not alone. I am not forgotten. You are not forgotten. You are not unsupported. You are not unsupported. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not give up. We must persevere. Imani, faith, says, keep going. Imani challenges us not to hold faith, but to pass it on. We as women, we choose faith. We teach the next generation how to trust God, how to trust themselves, and trust their calling. Faith becomes our legacy. So, as Imani is faith is our last principle in the Kwanzaa season, it does reminds us that faith is not seasonal. Again, it is daily. You have faith when the road is hard. You have faith when the vision is delayed. You have faith when the work feels heavy. But the word, Hebrews 10:35, assures us. So do not throw away your confidence. It will be richly rewarded. Ladies, faith, Imani, our lives have purpose. Our voices have power. Our faith carries generations. Because we are women that walk in faith, we raise our families, we're in our communities, we strengthen one another, and our futures become transformed because we believe, because we have faith. That is Amani. Thank you.
Dr. Michelle, you're muted.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for the reminder. Look, I was just like, boom, ready to go with that one. So, again, thank you,
Couldn't
Savannah. Thank you so much for that. They're talking about Imani and faith. We know that that has carried us. And for the herbal focus, if you were to have a tea, just to take it for the day, it's a black tea, cardamom, cinnamon, and nutmeg. And the reason why black tea is for your strength. The cardamom is for spiritual warmth. Cinnamon is for endurance. These are the essential herbs that you can use for focus to make a tea. And the affirmation is I trust the divine plan of my creator through my ancestors as well and to the future generations. And now we will have evangelist Dr.
say it
Sharon
again.
Giselle bring us to close us out from after all of these principles. Again, for those who may catch this replay, take these words and take these principles
Hopefully you all
into
can
the
hear me.
season. We can hear you.
Amen. Thank you, one of the sisters that have participated. It was so much information and it was so valuable. And I hope that those that are online really have grasped, did a lot of note taking because I did. I was trying to keep up in the midst of the breaking. But from the beginning of these principles, first and foremost, as you've heard throughout, all of these principles were established from God by God. He set a protocol for the life of humankind. This isn't just for one culture, but for all cultures, that we could all work together. As you see the principles, they are for us to be communicative with one another, first with our own community. And that's where Kwanzaa has developed so that we can learn to work together. There's so many other cultures that work together, but we can't work with someone else until we learn to work within our own selves,
Ooh.
first and foremost. We started off with you hold on so I can make sure that I am pronouncing these correctly. I wanted to use the regular meaning unity, which is umoja. And that starts with the unification. As Missy shared with us, I took some notes for myself, but it talked about us bringing forth together families and communities. First and foremost, we got to learn to come together as a family. There's a lot of division amongst families. How can we grow really communitively if we don't have our families intact? A house divided will never stand. So she talked about that. A life in regards to when we unify ourselves within our families, then we can learn to unify our communities. We will set an example for our communities as we walk that. And I wanted to kind of do an overall, because if you look at unity and faith, the first and the last principles, they all come together with those that are in between. Each one builds its own self to a place of, like Honorable Savannah Winston shared with us in regards to being walking by faith, it becomes generational. So we want to look at our principles as a place of growth. This is how we are to grow. This is what God has set the order for mankind. But as we're talking about the African American culture, this is how we are to grow, and this is where we will alleviate having the disruption and the distortion of conflict. Dr. Omika, she shared about how we don't go to our own to support. A lot of times that is due to, oh, well, they're getting more money than I get. I'm not going to put money into their business. Well, you're putting it in another culture's business and you're making them grow instead of helping your own community. So in that, we need to be focused on the cooperative economics in regards. I'm kind of jumping around because as these things have been falling out. The second one, Sister Sharon talked about self-determination. The one thing that I wrote down is we have to learn to define ourselves. Who am I? Do you know who you are? Because when you don't know who you are, then you will listen to anybody else to tell you who you are. And it don't always be good. Most of the times it's bad. Then we have to name